Hey everyone, it's Rowie Kiwi, and today's video is my one and only mermaid contribution. Unfortunately, I did not have the time or energy to try and do daily mermaids, so just this one it is. It's also not the first design I wanted to go with. I drew two different poses initially that I wanted to do a little bit more of a realistic style with and less of this cartoony style. But my baby is currently cutting through his first tooth, so things have been absolutely chaos, and I did not have the energy to put forth with a more realistic piece. It would just take far too long for me to do, and I couldn't even film the process of me like lining this cartoony one because I had to stop so many times and I was struggling so much with it. So this is just the coloring part of the speed paint. It took me like 3 or 4 days to finish it, even though the total time it took was probably only a few hours total. But because I had to keep stopping, it took just so long to finish. But here it is, it's finally done, and I am showing everybody it now. I don't think it's like my best work because at some point I was just kind of trying to finish it. You know, I had already started it, so I wanted to see it through. But on top of that, it's also been over a year since I have actually drawn anything human-like. I know that there's no legs in this, but I haven't drawn arms or hands or very many faces for that matter in probably over a year. So just trying to get back into the groove of that was interesting. It was almost like I had forgotten. It's like I have been practicing drawing people for almost my whole life, and then as soon as I stopped doing it consistently, I didn't know where to start or what I was doing. So I can definitely say that practice and consistency is important when being an artist in general. I mean, I know that for the most part I'm just a hobbyist, and I've been posting these videos here and there of like my process and what I'm doing and like my goals, but like realistically it's just a hobby right now and I enjoy doing it. And I used to draw far more than I do now, but it's just a matter of how much time I have to put towards it, and I am actively working towards making more time all the time. But it's just not easy. Anyway, let's talk about this mermaid a little bit and what my thoughts and process behind making her were. So I knew I wanted to kind of do a betta fish mermaid. So the first thing I did was Google pictures of betta fish, and I found one that I liked. And I know that betta fish are known as fighting fish. You can't house them together because they get into fights. They tear each other up. So the whole idea behind the mermaid is that she's a betta fish. She's a scrappy little mermaid. She gets into fights. That's why her mermaid bra is like bandaging, and her hands bandaged, and she's got part of her forearm bandaged, just, you know, to make her look like she's maybe been getting into little scraps. I didn't give her like any bruising or cuts or anything. I didn't want it to be like that extreme. But just like the general idea behind it is that she's a little scrappy. On my sketch that I actually did initially, I did it on paper and I wrote, "I'm just a little scrappy, you know?" And that's like her little catchphrase almost. But back to like the design of the mermaid, I did take the shape of her tail and her side fins and kind of tried to mimic the fanning of the betta fish a little bit on her. And I also took the colors that I wanted straight from the fish. I color picked them from the picture because betta fish come in so many beautiful colors, and I really like the colors on this one, and I really wanted to mimic it as much as possible in my actual mermaid drawing, so that's what I did. I made a whole color palette from just like color picks from the fish itself, and I used those in this drawing. Even her skin color is color picked straight from the fish. It just seemed like a good idea at the time. It kind of kept everything a little more cohesive as well. At some points you can see me really struggling with like how to color and what brushes to use to color. That's really just coming back to I'm still learning digital art. I'm still getting a grip on it. I've done traditional art for a very, very, very long time, and I've only been doing digital art like the last year, and it's been pretty sporadic. So I know I like use a lot of brushes that other people probably wouldn't use or don't recommend using, but it's just what I am gravitating towards right now. I'm learning, I'm watching tutorials and figuring it out as we go. But like I said, at some points I really do struggle with how I'm going to color things, and like I'm really not good at blending on Procreate. So like with the eye, you could see I just like am going back and forth with what to do. It just comes with the territory and the process. It's figuring it out, and I don't mind showing that. For the most part, I have used just like the brushes that come with Procreate, like the basic brushes that it comes with. And some of them I've edited to be a little more useful for me. I have found that sometimes it's just easier to purchase a brush pack, or some of them are even free. So I've downloaded some brush packs, which I paid for a commercial license for some of them even. That way if I ever decide to sell stuff using them, it's not an issue. Like currently I don't really sell anything. I have like a Redbubble, but I don't have that much stuff on there, and it's mostly like D&D related right now. So that's like what I'm scrolling through at some points, is like brush packs that I've gotten. Most of them are like more specialty brushes though that I currently have, like glitter packs, I'm going to say, because I really like the fun textures and stuff. But I need some more brush packs that are just like basic brushes, like liners and brushes to color and blend with, because the ones that come on Procreate standard are maybe a little frustrating to use at times, which is fine. Like I said, I've edited a bunch of them to be more what I want them to be, but I'm sure that other people are much better at that than I am, and could save me a lot of time and effort if I could just like buy their brushes instead. Okay, tangent over. I have now completed the eyes for the most part, and the fin. I'm just adding in a few like little extra details wherever I see fit. I didn't really go like super crazy detailed with like the shading and stuff. I just did not have the energy or time for that. So while I used some brushes to add like extra detail in, I didn't really put like that much extra detail into it. It's pretty simplistic. Like I said, I was going for a little more of a cartoony style. A lot of the shading's just really basic. It's not very good either, but it is there. You know, watching the video back for this, it really makes me see that I zoom in really, really close a lot. And I'm not sure that that's particularly helpful, because like, look, you can't even tell that I did that like random shading on the tongue from further away. Like, I think that's something I get a little too caught up in with the digital art, is that you can be like so extremely precise and detailed if you want to be. And like in reality, when you look at the piece as a whole, those little details don't matter. Like it doesn't even look like anything from here. Like even this close to the face, you can't even really tell that the tongue is shaded like that. Oh, and now we're coloring the hair in the video, which I struggled so hard with coloring her hair because I really wanted it to be kind of like a mimic of the way that the tail is too. And for the life of me, I just could not get it to look how I wanted. It was like if I wanted to color it the way that I envisioned it, I was gonna have to redraw the hair entirely, which I didn't really want to do because I liked the way that it looked as it was. I thought that the shape was nice. I didn't want her to have long hair. That doesn't make sense for like the kind of character she is. Like a fighter shouldn't really have long hair. That's just like a liability. So I didn't really want to change that. So here I am like playing around with layering and layer styles a whole bunch. to see if I could kind of get it to work a little bit, and you can see me experimenting like a whole bunch with the different layer styles. Eventually I get it close enough to what I think it should look like without being too crazy about it. I didn't want to spend like hours and hours doing just the hair, because it's like a little silly. Yeah, that was something I really struggled with because, like I said, I didn't want to have to change her hair entirely to make the way I wanted it to be colored work. I do think I spent by far the longest amount of time on her hair. Like, even the fin, which I experimented with a little bit, took way less time to color than the hair did, which is just crazy because the fin's got more detail, I feel like, than the hair does. But I just kept like erasing and adding color just over and over again, and it didn't really make that much of a difference. Again, I really think it is just like because of lack of experience with the medium I'm working with, which is digital art, because I definitely don't struggle this much with traditional media when it comes to coloring, at least. Usually I have like a better idea of how to start and how to go about it, and a better feel for the media I'm using. I don't know. Digital art definitely takes a lot longer to get used to than I anticipated. And I really can't wait until my baby's a little bit older and a little bit better at entertaining themselves. Like right now, especially with the whole teething thing, it's really hard to get them to stay somewhere and not just be upset when I'm not holding them. So like, he wants nothing to do with his bouncer, or he doesn't want to play on the floor for tummy time. He just wants to be held and feel miserable pretty much. And I'm doing everything I can to help, but it's his first tooth and he's having a hard time, which means mom is having a hard time. But like I was saying, when he's able to, entertain himself just a little bit more, I might maybe hopefully we'll be able to do even just like some sketches traditionally, because I really like the feeling of pencil on paper. Alright, enough complaining. I'm not really sure what else to say about the drawing though, because from here it's just me going through and like adding up the finishing details. Like, it's basically done from here. I add like a little bit of a quick easy background with a pre-made brush on Procreate for like water water effect. I didn't really know what else to do for the background. When I was thinking about doing something a little more realistic, I was going to have like the mermaid sitting on this big rock or something, but for this one, and like with the pose I did, I was like, she's just floating in the water. I don't know. I know a lot of people like don't really do backgrounds for Mermay and stuff anyway. Like the challenge months and stuff, people don't really go all that out for them. Some people definitely do, but not everybody. Here I am just exporting it a few times, only to realize that I wanted to add more details, because of course I wanted to. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to like add the little sparkly guys that I wanted to do to make it look like their skin was a little glistening. So that's like the last thing I do to this piece, is I go through and add in little sparkles and freckles throughout the body. Again, just to like add a little more interest and texture to it. I don't know that they really come across all that much when you zoom away further from the piece, but I liked them, so I added them. This voiceover has been a little bit of a rambly mess, I think. I think for some of my future videos, because a lot of times I just like don't have words for what I'm doing on screen, and like I don't think it's necessary for me to describe my process that much. It's very obvious for a lot of it. Like, I show pretty much everything, but I think I'm gonna do like maybe more not related to the piece voiceovers. Maybe like a few stories and stuff. I've got some interesting things I could talk about probably over art. Nothing too crazy, and like I don't want it to be like too far off from art either. But I did work in a craft store for 5 years, so I'm sure that like kind of relates to art. I got some stories I could tell from there probably. But like I said, I just don't know how much I have to say about every piece of artwork. Like for this one, I didn't really have that much to say. It was just like, hey, I made a mermaid. It would appear that my son has woken up. I was trying to make this voiceover before he woke up for the day because I started recording this way early in the morning, and he has decided that he hears his mom talking, so he's gonna wake up now. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video for what it is and like all my rambles, and that you'll tune in next time. Bye!